creepy movie, man. It's The Black Phone. It's Scott Derrickson, based off of a story by Joe Hill. Welcome back. It's review time, everybody. If you're brand new to the channel and you stumbled across it, you're looking for The Black Phone review, and you're like, who's this dummy? Well, subscribe to his channel, and that's me. We're trying to get to 50,000 by the end of this month. So why don't you join us? Okay. So this movie, I'm not a big slasher guy. This is not a slasher film, by the way. But I'm not a big slasher guy, slasher film guy, like the kind of generic horror movies. I like smart horror / thrillers. I like good character work. I like all that stuff that's combined into it, like stuff like The Conjuring and movies like that. I dig that type of stuff. This falls into that. This is a really, really good movie. Scott Derrickson, kind of going back to his roots of what he does. There's some great stuff going on in this movie. I'm just going to start with because there's a lot that I love. So I'm going to go with a thing that sticks out that I didn't like, and it's small. There's a few times in this movie where there's like just normal, like whether it's a normal fight or it's fights. It's in general, anytime there's like a fight, and there's a few of them, they seem a little bit. They're brutal, but they don't seem very realistic. Like if somebody gets hit with a rock or something that should kill them, it's more like it's a big ouch, but it's more like an ouch, and then nobody really gets in trouble for it or anything. It's so small. It has nothing to do with the grand scheme of things. It's just a couple times that there were these really violent fights and things happening where there's really no consequences behind it. It's like stuff that you would go to prison for, and it's just like, it's a schoolyard fight. Only criticism, really, to be honest with you. This is a really good movie, and I enjoyed it very much. And it sees Scott Derrickson directing this film based off of Joe Hill. And obviously the standouts, you're always going to say, well, Ethan Hawke looks really creepy as the grabber. He is. He's very creepy in this movie, and he's great in this movie. He's been having a good year. It takes place in the 70s. And there's the grabber who's taken all these kids. And again, this is stuff that's in the trailer. So he takes this one kid, Finney, played by Mason Thames, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. And he is he's the latest kid to get taken. And he starts getting these phone calls on this black phone inside of this room that he's held in. But the phone ain't plugged into anything. So you figure out what's going on. What I said in my out of the theater reaction, I meant to say it is Room meets like with a supernatural element. Instead, I said The Room, which is a very different movie. But Room meets it, and it's what's so good about it is besides the fact that there's a lot of creepy imagery and it's a good mystery. Will this kid get out? What's the mystery behind the black phone? What is happening there? There's way more to it. And it's a good setup. It reminds me, what the hell was that movie? Oh, man. The one about the zombies in World War II. You guys know what it is? Shoot, you'll know when you start talking in the comments. Anyway, I remember that movie going into it saying, I don't know if I'm going to like this. It just looks like a ridiculous zombie movie. But it was such a great lead-in to finally what you get that it's a great setup that by the time it gets to the overall premise, you're on board, and it does the same thing here. It sets up who this kid Finney is and what he's going through, and the relationship that he has with his sister Gwen, played by Madeline McGraw. She's got a heartbreaking scene at one point because they have a very tough relationship with their father. I believe it's Upham from Saving Private Ryan, Jeremy Davies, I believe, and it's a tough relationship. It's a strange relationship, but there's a scene. She's got a heartbreaking scene, and she's a really good crier, and she's tough. She's kind of the tough one, and Finney's kind of the one that's trying to just make his way. He's getting bullied. He's got a buddy who helps him out, and then he gets taken, and he's got to find the inner strength, but it's also, like as I mentioned, with the supernatural stuff, and that's not just combined inside of the room itself, but things that are going on outside of it, things that are happening with people that eventually get involved, that we get involved with in the story, and it's really good, man. I was surprised how much I liked it. It impacted me a lot. It's emotional. It's creepy, like as I mentioned, and it's just very well directed. and it doesn't rely on jump scares. It doesn't, and it's not one of these movies. It's always going to be scary and creepy when you see a guy. The mask is terrifying, by the way, but when you see a guy in that type of mask, it's going to be creepy, but you got to deliver on it, and it does, because you want to get into the inner workings. Why is this guy the way he is, and why is everything happening in this room the way it is? And you have to kind of be on your toes, and it's asking you to be on your toes, and I dug that. But besides the creepy mask, I got to talk about this kid, man. This kid is awesome, because this kid Mason Thames, who you got to be with him, you got to be on board with him, you got to like him, because you're with him the entire time. If he's annoying at all, if you don't care, movie's over, and you care about him, and you believe that the stuff that he's going through and the inner struggle that he's going through, and just it's a powerful performance, and it's coupled with the idea that he gets to bounce back and forth with Ethan Hawke playing the grabber, and then and they set up a really good relationship with him and his sister that I believed. So I loved this movie. I thought it was great. I'll go pretty high. I'll go 4.4 out of 5 schmoes. I dug it a lot, and I recommend you guys see it, even if you're not a big horror fan. I would see it. It's a good movie, and it doesn't rely on cheap things. It's very well directed. Music's great, and as I said, my one kind of nitpicky thing was sometimes the fights just seemed a little too brutal. And with you can be brutal, but it's like, okay, well, there's going to be some major consequences for that, and it's not. It just seems like, well, that's what happens when somebody gets smashed in the face 175 times, and they're fine. You're not fine, but they're not dead. Like, no, that person would be dead. Nitpicky. Did you guys see it? Are you going to see it? Let me know. Very curious to hear what you think. Please subscribe to the channel. Get us to 50,000 before July 1st. That'd be amazing if we can do it. Hope we can do it. Appreciate you very much, and we'll see you on the flip side. It is The Black Phone. Go see it. Peace.